Astrolog is a freeware program. There are more sophisticated programs on the market, but this does exactly what we want it to do. What we're trying to achieve is easily compare highs and lows. The Astro pattern between a high and a low, they must relate. So to see the pattern clearly, we want a nice clean interface. Okay, I want to show you a couple of things in Astrolog if you've just got started. We'll go to Setting, Calculation Settings, 360 degrees, OK. So we've changed it to degrees of the circle. Now, sometimes you want to get less planets on. So you go back to Settings and then Restrictions. Now I'm going to restrict all. That means that I wouldn't see any planets at all on the wheel. I'm just going to add in the Moon by unticking it and Jupiter. So when I click OK, we'll just see the Moon and Jupiter on the screen. Now I want to show you some aspects. Also, first before I do that, I'll set the aspect setting. This shows what aspects I can currently see. Always keep the orbs and the angle influence, just keep them by default. At the moment I only have on my screen conjunctions. That's when a planet is joined together. An opposition, that's 180 degrees away. 90 degrees is a square. A trine is 120 degrees. A sextile is 60 degrees. I haven't displayed these other settings, semi-sextile 30 degrees, although sometimes I may want to use that, in which case I would just untick it and I'd be able to see it. I've just got the Moon here and Jupiter, and I want to show you the aspects just between two planets. Aspects is another name for the angle they make. So I'm going to use a shortcut on my keyboard, which is the shortcut on my keyboard to scroll forward is Shift plus. There's the sextile, which is 60 degrees. That's a 90-degree angle. 120. We've got an opposition. That's 180 degrees. Back to a trine, which is 120 degrees. We've got the square, 90 degrees. And then the 30 degrees, semi-sextile, and the conjunction. Another little trick in Astrolog is the animate key. You can animate it, you can jump forward or back by minutes or seconds. Sometimes you want to see when exactly an aspect occurs, so you just go up to animate, the jump rate. I'm going to set this to hours. I want to see when that conjunction actually occurred. So I'm going to use the minus key on my keyboard to move backwards. I'm going to stop the animation when these are conjunct. Here's another example of simple aspects between two planets, Venus and Pluto, both on the same degree of the circle. I'm not worrying about these little fractions here. I'm only interested in the large number. I'm going to scroll forward using my keyboard shortcut of Shift plus. Venus is now starting to go backwards. Now this is called retrograde. When you're standing on Earth, planets appear to go forward and backwards in the sky. It's an optical illusion. Now Venus has started to go direct again, and it will head in towards the 60-degree angle. This will be the first angle that you can see here. It's just starting now. When it's strongest, line is very dark. The next angle coming up will be 90 degrees. It's just starting. There's a default setting of 7-degree separation in here on Astrolog, and when it becomes exact, that line will be its thickest. That's the 90-degree angle, and it's fading out. It's going out of aspect now, which means the angle is not as strong. This is 120 degree. That's called a trine. The next angle that we're looking for is 180 degrees, known as an opposition. Here we go. It's just, you can see the line very faintly starting, and it's getting thicker as it comes closer to the aspect or the exact angle. Fading now. The next angle that we're looking at again will be 120 degrees again, the trine. It's just coming in. There, it's much stronger. You can see that thick angle. Weakening off, going out of the aspect. Heading in towards the 90-degree angle again. This is called the square. So we're just heading into a square. You remember W.D. Gann was very fond of the square. The square and the trine. That's his company logo. And you just find it on the front of his courses. Here we're at 60 degrees. And we'll be heading back in towards the conjunction. I want to show you simple aspects between 3 planets. Here we have Pluto and Saturn and the Moon. The Moon's very fast moving, so I'm going to set the animate key for this one. I'm going to set it to hours, and the jump factor is 8 hours, 8 units. The first aspect that we're going to see is a conjunction with Pluto and an opposition with Saturn. Here's the conjunction and the opposition. Next we'll see a sextile, which is 60 degrees from Pluto and 120 degrees from Saturn, which is a trine. There's a trine there. The next aspect, a square to Pluto and a square to Saturn. Trine to Pluto, sextile to Saturn. Coming up is a conjunction with Saturn and an opposition to Pluto. Will be sextile to Saturn, trine to Pluto. Square to Pluto, square to Saturn. Sextile, trine. And we're coming around a full circle, coming up to a conjunction with Pluto and opposition with Saturn.